All right, Mike 2 is our guest. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Maybe I should hide the libation. There you go. Oh, look at that. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It is going to be tight in here with the camera shot, huh?
It's going to be very tight.
Is it? Can we pull the camera back a little bit more?
I'm just worried about people hitting it as they come in. That was my big fear. I had it on a boom, but it's just the space-wise where we originally thought we were going to be worked.
Yeah.
But it's just what it is. You know, we'll manage, right? Okay, yes, and before Matt Scott even sees this video, I know I need a soapbox to stand. I know, thank you. All right, so anybody who's watching, they're seeing the sausage made. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? All right, everybody. Well, and 3, 2, and welcome everybody to another AVNation TV live broadcast event. We are here live from the Crestron Design Showroom. I always get that wrong. It's not a center, it's a showroom. Here in Midtown Manhattan, that's in this between 58th and 59th Street on 3rd Avenue. And we're here for the AQAV Music is Life Fundraiser. This is a fundraiser for the AQAV folks to help fund some scholarships for education and training. Steve Greenblatt is here with me today. He is the host, of course, of State of Control on AVNation TV and the principal at Control Concepts. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Good to be with you at another event and another time that we can talk to people in the community.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on. I was just making sure that I could hear the audio and we were good. So let's talk a little bit quickly before Mario comes to talk to us about what AQAV and what's going on here. I'm sure he'll explain it a little bit more, but for those folks who haven't heard of AQAV before, what is the organization? What are they doing?
Well, they're promoting quality in the audiovisual industry, and what that means is how does quality benefit a client? How does quality benefit a contractor? And how can we get projects done quicker, more efficiently, more cost effectively, and frankly, provide better results?
Yeah, so sorry, have a little technical difficulty right here. Title card question. I don't know what he was asking about, Matt Scott, but you can always send me a message. It's the thing about doing AVNation TV that you get lots of feedback, not the ones you want. All right, so but that brings us to a bigger question. Do we actually need that kind of impetus for quality? Are we missing something? And you and I actually had some lengthy discussions on the phone about this prior to the show of what is the nature of the integration industry. I keep not wanting to say AV because it's changed. And are we rushing through jobs too much? And if we are, is it something structural that we can change?
So let's take a step back. If we don't, if we don't start to regulate ourselves with regard to standards, then how are we going to keep the bar high enough so that non-professionals are not coming in and eating our lunch?
Okay.
So something like this allows us to prove that there's a methodology to the way we do things and how we do it and why we do it, and it isn't just something that you just do as a hobby.
Right.
And it makes this more professional, and of course there can be arguments made, as there are with anything, if it's audio, if it's video, how good is good enough, and is quality is the quality supposed to get you to a baseline level, or is the quality supposed to get you to a higher level or a peak, and who's willing to pay for that, and where is the value?
Right. I mean, and of course, we can't pass that along to the end client. They're already paying for, and what's normally a decent sum of money to get a system installed. So we have to take the brunt of that. And what does it entail? I mean, we're looking at someone making a checklist. Are we looking at pre-planning and we don't have enough staff to actually get ourselves into that mode of saying we know exactly what gear goes where and we pre-racked it? I mean, is it as simple as that? I know there's more complicated versions of tuning a room and making sure it's done, but there seems to be that ethos of it's good enough for rock and roll, and they move on. I worked live staging, and that even wasn't the standard you were supposed to follow.
Sure. Well, I think Mario is going to talk to us about the fact that a focus on quality is going to be a is going to make a business better, whether that's the business doing the work or the business receiving the work. And I think that that's where he's going to share with us how this type of an investment it can pay off. But to answer your question, it is a good one to bat around. And what is the focus? Is the focus on process? Is the focus on quality of the product? Is the focus on how things get done? And is this something the arguments can be made about making work too onerous to be able to actually do it?
Yeah, no, I see that. I mean, one of the things that's always bothered me is like, okay, so there's the technical part. And the technical part's very important, and we need to have checklists, and we need to make sure that it's done right the first time. But sometimes we pride ourselves on coming from, say, I was a musician, and I came from the background of being a stagehand or something of that nature. And the stagehand job is a good thing. But when you walk into a room, and something I was telling Mario earlier, something that really, and I want to put this the right way because I don't want to offend anyone, but when I was working in some residential systems, I'd have guys who would walk into multi-million-dollar homes in their work boots and not think second of doing anything other than walking in after they were outside, right? And my always question was, where are the booties? Where are your booties? Well, what booties? I don't care if it's a CEO's office. I don't care if it's a multi-million-dollar home in one of the nicer areas, or as I have sometimes had to do in these multi-dwelling unit renovations where they were going in and taking over complete tenements, getting, buying out as many people as they could. And then the few that remained never got renovated. But when you need to get into their house, I took my shoes off. And these were not the nicest house. They reminded me of when I lived in the East Village in the warehouses. Some of those houses, apartments looked like that. But it's respect. And I think that when it starts there, you actually start, it's also similar to jacket and tie. When I worked for a support center, managing calls, what do? You dress with a collared shirt, not jeans and ratty sneakers, because when you're on the phone with the client, you're going to have a different attitude because you're dressed up. And I don't mean suit and tie and a vest and some of the guys that I was managing did that eventually when we were doing this. But I don't know. I mean, I get it starts there. I'm going to hammer that away all the time because we tend to say, like, this is music is life, but it's also, we can't just presume it's an outdoor event and that's acceptable for going in. And that's where I think it starts, because then you're going to say, oh, I do need a notepad to make sure I have proper notes. I'm not just going to type them out on an iPhone and forget the note and then erase,
So
Sorry, it's a lot
I kind of feel like
I had a moment.
that's a level of standard. One of the things that comes to mind to me with the quality is, how many projects have you gone to where, and I'm probably dating myself now, but you're making that trip to Radio Shack to get those bits and pieces and parts, or Home Depot, whatever that is, and that costs you money, that costs you time, and it's also just that it's not good business and potentially look bad in the eyes of the client. So that, I think, is really where this focus comes in. But I agree with you. I mean, and I think that's just maybe a level of excellence in terms of how you dress and how you conduct yourself. I'm not sure if I would consider that quality, but I still have a lot of value for it. Not everybody does.
Well, I mean, one of the things that people bring up, though, when you talk about this kind of process, right? What AQAV sometimes and other trade organizations try to do is a process. I know Avixa had it when they were Infocom. I forget what it was called. There was the standard for like live events and for commercial integration that they wanted people to sign on to is a standard.
Sure.
I mean, kind of chafe at the standard idea, even though we know we want a standard, because do not the high-end clients want a standard they can trust? Is that sort of why some of them are migrating to the over-the-counter, off-the-shelf, DIY-esque stuff, because at least it's always the same. It's standard. They know what's going on. Do we need to fight that fight in this process as well?
So standard in that sense can be considered a pass or fail, right? When you're doing like an industry standard, but if you're talking about standards in terms of it just being consistent and meeting minimum requirements, I think that's where we start to fall off about, and where clients are saying, well, I could do this better myself.
Right.
I mean, and some standards are considered too lofty.
True.
And I think that there is some resistance to that, but
are they too lofty or are they too rigid? And is that what we're fighting?
Could be both.
Because there was the dashboard for design. I don't know. It doesn't even still exist for AVIXA.
And that was a guideline. Dashboard for control, but they've done AVIXA's done a number of ANSI standards as well as now AVIXA standards, and some of them have gotten more adoption than others. But what it does is it gives a consultant or a specifier something to point to say, well, this is what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
And hopefully the client is behind that and sees the value.
Well, it is managing expectations, right? And I think I sort of had a crazy thought in my head as you were saying it's a guideline. I'm thinking Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm thinking of the Pirates Credo or the Pirates Law. It's more like guidelines.
Yeah.
And I get that. I do see that sometimes with the end client wanting that. They do want to trust in that sort of ISO 9000-esque thing, which we as an industry haven't really. The manufacturers may have, but on the integration install side, we may not have.
And I think that ISO 9000 talks about standards to be producing consistent products and same result every time.
Right. Consistent products, consider consistent approach, consistent atmosphere. I think my chair's going down.
I think where AQAV also comes in, and Mario could correct us, is that he also talks about when you're tuning a system, this is what you should look to achieve. When you're doing, which is a great reference for the industry. I think, how do you teach somebody how to do something if you don't point them to what is the preferred practice or what is considered correct?
Right. I mean, we do tend to say that winging it a little bit. I mean, look, residential has always been on a cutting edge. Right? Commercial is great stuff, but it was never the first to integrate something. Right, I guess unless you count when finally the iPad came in, and we had lots of corporate clients first saying, "Oh, I want this as my touch panel." Right? I know I'm rehashing an old wound, but it sort of comes down to that kind of idea of where was that cutting edge, and sometimes they would just push it forward, forge ahead. Hire some guys that were the first level. What's your first level in any install company? It's usually the wire guys. But I've often not seen anyone train those wire guys how to pull it. They were pulling it like electricians, right? And it's not BX. It's not, when it goes vroom across those aluminum frames, they're getting stripped. They're not just making noise.
I mean, when I first started in the industry, there were very few reference books or materials or even training to look to say, how do I learn to do what we do, and how do I learn to do it well?
Right. And it's something I've seen, again, I'm sort of diverging from the AQAV idea because Mario will tell us more in a few moments. He's here, scheduled guys around 5:30. They're doing karaoke in the back room. The bar just opened. There's food. People will take a little bit of time to get here. But
I'm sure we'll see the 5 p.m. exit and probably get here at 5:15 or so.
Yeah, exactly. Now, but back to the CTS thing. Some people, as I've been reading lately on the online forums about it, were concerned that, the question was on one of those, AV install greatness sites, or those kind of guys. And great stuff if you're on Facebook, AV install nightmares and AV install greatness. Fantastic little sites. They sometimes get a little, as forums do, nonsensical. But the question was, does the certification like CTS or like the CEDIA certification matter? And their main disagreement was that it wasn't technical enough. But we remember what it was in the beginning. It was a test on a computer that you did at home or at the office, and you could have notes. And it was basically technical. Inverse square law, what is a balanced line? How do you get an amp to work, right? I mean, it was a projection screen for 100 people. How big does it need to be? Those are great skills to have, and those are still in there, but they have expanded it to be business and profit ratios and understanding how a business actually operates in order to do this, not just the system flow. And I think my disagreement, and it comes into the standards, is absolutely every single one of your employees should understand how that works, even on a tertiary level. They should have it in their heads that that's what they needed to pass. That I know it sounds simple that I buy X product for X amount and I have to sell it for X amount to make 10, 20%. And 20% is not a lot of money when you look at it. You know, it's the things they used to teach us in high school, right? 10% off. What does it really mean? Sure. You know? And I worry about that we're still fighting that fight of what is a standard? Why do we need to make it more professional when the guys walking in don't seem to know? And they should, because we want them to advance. We want them to be the next guys who are opening up the next mega integrator or the mega programming house, or, you know, not to fear that a certain type of programming can be drag and drop, but really the core understanding of it comes from knowing that the other stuff.
So, you know, I'll argue, and I'm on your side with that with regard to certifications. So certification's important, and I firmly back them, and I feel there's a value in getting them, but it doesn't justify that you're going to do a good job.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to be considered you still have to be ethical. You still have to be responsible. You still need all those soft skills, and you still need to apply what you've learned.
Well, doesn't that come back to the booties?
Yeah.
It all comes back to the booties, right? Not the booty, the booties. The booties. That the ethical thing to do is to have a box of them in the truck or your own personal one in your kit bag.
But that's what separates the good from the better, maybe.
Or wearing thick socks and saying, you know, when you first walk in. And I know in those tenements, more often than not, they go, no, it's okay. But that first hit, you have to, you know, and that's the ethical thing.
It's about wowing the customer.
Right. And that the gear is what they expect. And that's going to be gone over with them. And that someone's not going to be like, it's a touchscreen. Yeah, to start. You know, it's like,
sure.
And how many times have we both seen that? Perhaps not in companies we've worked at, but we've seen it. You know, where that enthusiasm for that relationship isn't there. And I think that's what needs to be built as well. And that's what, again, when I was talking to Mario earlier, that's part of it. I'm assured that when that guy comes in and they hand me that final sign-off note, I know that everything's been tested. And if there's any disagreement about it, it means my needs have changed, not the system is bad. And doesn't that help us in the end? Because my needs have changed versus the system is bad is the difference between you come in for free and yes, I need an upgrade.
Well, it's all about client satisfaction,
right?
And so I think the idea that everybody should be striving to achieve more. And one thing that I've heard from other people in other businesses and other industries is that every touch that you have with a client is an opportunity to sell them. So, and what I mean by that is the technician can be the person that the client bonds with and forms that relationship with and really enjoys, and will possibly be asked to come back when they have the next opportunity because they like working with that technician. So if everybody is trying to appease and take care of the client, that's where you can have measurable payoff.
Right. I'm just letting people know where we are. Design showroom. Sorry, guys. I know it's showroom. If you are watching, I would love to hear your thoughts. Have we gone astray? Do you think, even afterwards, if you're not watching this live and you've come upon this because we've been promoting it or because one of your educational opportunities sort of crossed the beams with us, what do you think? Are we going astray? Should be just technical? Are we concerning ourselves too much with the high errors of being proper, as my children like to tell me all the time when I ask them to use the fork and knife the right way, or not? You can do that on Twitter. You can do that in the comments of the YouTube page or on the AVNation.tv page where this is streaming live. Well,
should we talk a little bit about why we're here?
Yes, well, we covered it, but go ahead a little bit more.
So this is a fundraiser, and there's going to be some raffles happening here, and there's also an online raffle, which I don't know the URL off the top of my head, but I'm sure George can help with that. So this is a great cause. This is a nonprofit, AQAV. Mario Maltese is one of the masterminds behind it, but there's a board that's formed, and it's really intended to serve the industry, and the money raised is going to help to promote education, I believe, and is going to help them to serve the community and serve the industry. So we should be seeing some real a lot of friends coming by, and I think that this is being a nice evening, and hopefully it'll be something that everybody can rally around and support a good cause.
Yeah, now, so the AQAV site is, of course, aqav.org/fundraiser. That's the Music is Life fundraiser that's going on right now and will continue past this event. Just give a shout out quickly to some of the people who have helped sponsor this. We got Crestron and FSR, Pro Sound and Video, Level 3 Audiovisual, Verex, NCS, Audiovisual Integration Company, Middle Atlantic, Verex, Liberty Cable. Is there more? There are more. That's the one I've got now. So there's some individual donations that I'm not sure I'm allowed to say on air, so I won't. But you can go to aqav.org/fundraiser. You can bid on a bunch of the baskets to help and donate even afterwards, and see more about what they're trying to do. All great things for people to have happening. Yeah, so that's an important point. Now, what's going to happen here today, if you weren't invited, is that there's going to be, again, bidding on the baskets, which are a number of items. You can see, I believe you have a list of them, some of them there, or is that just a sponsor?
These are the in-person baskets, but there's an online basket that we want to be sending people to, and that's going to stay open until Monday, I believe. So if you are viewing this late, please go check it out, and you still have time to buy some tickets. Yeah,
and the online basket is a set of acoustic design loudspeakers, the QSC AD, what is it? S as in Sam 52s. That's QSC Adam David Sierra 52 speakers. Very nice little bookshelf speakers. Those are starting at $10, but we know you can give more. So I might just bid on those, actually. I don't know. I like them. So yeah, and again, that is aqav.org/fundraiser for all of that now and afterwards. And again, thanks to those guys. So what's happening here, of course, is also they're doing some karaoke. You may have heard that earlier while we were talking. Not quite sure how that's working, but I saw request sheets. So I don't know if there's ones you're up there and you get surprised, or if you have to ask the karaoke person. I'm not sure.
Maybe we could get the winner on air.
Yeah, exactly. I wish. The Wi-Fi here is not strong enough for me to bring my phone with the little microphone to do it, and that's one of those things where you don't know if you want people filming you. It's all fun and games until someone turns the camera on.
And it gets more interesting the longer the bar's open.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. You suddenly, every song is Sid Vicious singing it, you know. And everything becomes a rockabilly Cramp song, you know.
Right.
You just can devour into it. Brian keeps going past with very nice hors d'oeuvres. Oh, I didn't hear him, but that's okay. Is there a private room? Oh, yeah. It's like one of those. Anyway, so what I would like to talk about a little bit, actually, as we wait, is last time we did this, we were at Middle Atlantic for the Avixa Women's Council.
Yes.
Right? That was Gina, and she'll be on to talk to us in a little bit as well. And we talked a little bit about your show, and I think this is the proper time to talk about it because it does dovetail into what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. A lot of the topics that you talk about involve, like, what are the best practices for doing this, and does it matter that it's going into this kind of thing? And I'll do two things. One, the show is State of Control.
Yes.
Great number of guests. There are a number of standard guests. It's Steve Greenblatt, Uncle Richie, Mr. Fragoza, a number of others who come on, some great guests from all around the world, actually, talking about programming stuff. So one of the things I want to talk to you about is I have been noticing, and I can't remember, it was an ad for some audio video control interface that used the MIT Scratch programming language. Have you seen this?
Really? Yeah.
Now, Scratch from MIT.edu is a little drag and drop. You've seen them?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what it is. And if you haven't out there, it's a little drag and drop. It's got different shapes for the logic versus the control versus whatever. And exactly that's the interface they're using. Mm-hmm. I know you've sort of covered this on the show.
Sure.
For that concept, but good, bad, is that a development that gets more people involved, but in the end makes them harder to do the real stuff? I mean, what does that really sort of generate in your head?
So we're definitely seeing a couple of shifts in the market. One of the shifts is to make eliminate the barriers to people being able to make these solutions work, right? Mm-hmm. Because the programming was always something that you had to hire a specialist. It was costly. It was something that you couldn't do yourself. You had to go to training. You had to be able to use proprietary software. You had to have access to it. You had to know the ins and outs of it, and it was limiting the outreach, right, of these types of systems. So most recently, we've seen a shift both to a easier programming, and that, occasionally that would come up here and there, but this whole idea of configuration has come about, and a easier entry point for being able to get programming to tackle the hurdle of programming.
Okay.
And then there's also been the idea that, do we have to be using proprietary hardware, and could we be using other types of equipment like a Raspberry Pi even? And so something like a Scratch interface and a Raspberry Pi might be an alternative to a control system and something that somebody could do themselves.
Right.
So that's kind of where it fits in. What it does is it opens this up to people being able to the skill set being more broadly served by people who go to school or learn these languages on their own.
Right.
And then it also is I'm
sorry. Yeah.
It also allows us to be able to make programming be something that people can understand a little bit better, get done a lot quicker, and using these other types of tools, we can sell more solutions. So
yeah,
that's where it is.
You've got coupons.
I do.
A lot of coupons.
I do have coupons. We are selling coupons. We are doing a 9 basket raffle. So we are selling coupons. They are $10 each and 6 for $50, and you get to put your coupon into any raffle basket that you choose. We have an online only raffle.
We mentioned
for the people who are listening now. That would be awesome for them to make the donation on the website AQAV.org/fundraiser and buy those tickets and put in for the online auction as well. And we have a nice crowd walking in now, guys.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's not getting too loud yet. Just enough.
No, right.
Just
exactly.
enough.
Exactly. So we anticipate more people coming in as business closes and people get over here and all of this lovely New York traffic. It is a beautiful day outside.
It is.
We could not have asked for a better spring day here in Manhattan. So I think that people are going to come in a good mood and leave in a better mood.
Yes, and it's a Thursday, not a Friday, and they're not all jamming to get over the Manhattan Bridge here. So
that's exactly
where all the really stressful stuff happens. While we wait for Mario, do we want to sit down with you? Do you want to come back and talk to us?
So Mario is engaged in a conversation right now, so I didn't want to pull him away.
Okay.
So anything that you need to ask me, I will answer, but I can also come back later if you prefer that.
Well, let's see how it goes. We can always bring it back, and then we'll edit it together. Sneaky.
That's true.
No, but yes, what? You're going to change shirts in between, right? There was a comedian, was it Bobcat Goldthwait, who used to move the mic stand around during his things so they couldn't edit it properly?
Oh,
really?
That's very funny.
And he would say it. He's like, no, I'm moving around because I just said something bad and they can't move it. They can't edit it.
So does this go out live and then you edit it and then you put
sometimes, yeah. And YouTube's got a new feature where we can actually edit the video within place rather than having to do a new one.
Oh,
which is cool.
Yep.
It's a little clunky. It's not Premiere, but it works. It works all right.
Hey,
a nice trackball mouse, and you're all set. But let's say that last time you and I talked, or the three of us talked, we were at the Middle Atlantic. I've got a trick chair. I don't know. I think I was given. It's like exploding cigar. It keeps going down. Yeah. And right now, Matt Scott's having a ball with this. But
love you, Matt. Where is he?
He's in Canada.
Yeah.
That explains it.
Somewhere in Canada. It's not the coldest part of Canada, but it's Canada. I don't know. It's got a mall, so I don't know how far.
Everybody's nice though.
It's just outside of New York, so he's like partially New Yorker.
No, he's outside of Detroit.
Yeah. Yes. His wife used to live in Westchester. I know that, but
I think his in-laws are still here.
Somewhere, yeah, maybe. Somewhere up there. But so we were talking to you about the Women's Council.
Yes.
And about more opportunities for women and that empowerment, and beyond that, just really great guests. You should see it. It's on our website. It's on the AVNation.tv site. Some great guests with really, really, really impressive backgrounds. Cheryl with her psychology degree and all that other stuff was just fascinating to me. But what's been happening with the AVNation Women's Council? What are you guys up to next? And of course, let's talk about what's going on at the InfoComm show.
Absolutely. So the AVNation Women's Council probably had one of the best showings at that event that you were at for Middle Atlantic, and we really do appreciate your support. I mean, it was really incredible to see. We were concerned, and I think I said it that day too, we were concerned that bringing it to New Jersey from traditionally what we had in Manhattan events, we were going to lose people. And you know what? We lost people and we gained a whole bunch more. So we were not at all down in attendance. In fact, we were up in attendance. So we're planning our next event, and that's going to be likely in late summer, early fall, and it might be in New Jersey again, so stay tuned.
Really?
We do have a couple of possible locations, one in particular that, if it works out, is not really close to mass transit, but is a really awesome place. So we're pushing for that.
Very nice.
We have an AVNation Women's Breakfast at InfoComm.
Okay.
That is going to be the
okay.
Thursday of InfoComm. It starts at 7:30 a.m. It's
a
hard.
bit early.
It's very early, especially since the drunk uncles.
But it is
Oh,
breakfast, though.
It's breakfast.
Well, then you can go from the drunk uncle straight to the breakfast.
That happens to some people.
That's the point, isn't it?
I like to have at least a couple of hours to shower. So we're doing the AVNation Women's Breakfast. It's Thursday morning, 7:30. I don't think anything really starts until 8:30 anyway. But this year it's different. So this year they've polled the past attendees, and they've also polled the regional group leaders. And they've said, what do you want this to be? Because we want to make sure that we are addressing your desires, what you feel like would be most relevant to you to make you successful and to make this group successful. And what they decided was, instead of having keynote speakers like they've done in the past, inspirational speakers and things like that, they've decided that this year is going to be all about regional groups. What is the regional groups? What are the missions? When do they meet? How do they work? What are the benefits? How do you start one? So I think that this will be a time for people who are in a certain region that has a group but don't know it yet, to be able to partner with their group leaders and kind of become involved in it, but also a time for people to realize that, oh, my region doesn't have a group. Maybe we can start one. And these are the reasons why we should start one. But besides the networking and the support system, I mean, it goes way beyond that, as you saw at Middle Atlantic. So I think this breakfast is poised to be one of the biggest. And it's open to men and women, so no discrimination at all. But you have to buy your tickets early because we traditionally sell out. So go online at infocommshow.org, search for Women's Breakfast, and buy your tickets now. I think they're $50 for members.
No walk-ins, you. Plan ahead. No walk-ins allowed.
No walk-ins allowed.
I don't think you'd be able to, quite honestly.
Yeah, right.
They sell out usually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're usually pretty crowded. I mean, they're not sort of the hey, how are you? But they can get close.
Well, what they want to do is they want to make sure that everybody not only has a seat and has food, but is able to communicate with other people in a way that doesn't seem rushed or, like just too crowded. So there's not a lot of stress at these things. We know it's early in the morning. We also know that people have to get to their booths by 9:30. So they do a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, and it's really relevant stuff. So I think that this year is the year that if you want to get involved, you want to see what's going on, you want to know what this is about, go to this breakfast.
How about if you're not going to InfoComm, how do you get involved?
So if you don't go to InfoComm and you want to get involved, you reach out to one of the group leaders, or you reach out to AVNation directly. Amanda Boyer is heading this up at AVNation. She is fantastic. This is her passion. I mean, she is going to make sure that this succeeds. Also, the regional group leaders, I believe they're listed on the AVNation website, but specifically, I think you should definitely reach out to Corey Schaefer and Brandy at RP Visual because they are the two that really got the regional groups up and running. So they have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge on how to get it up and running, where to start, kind of the process down pat. You can also reach out to me in New York or Dana in New York. We have quite a few under our belt now, and I think that we have a pretty good return
And
on this.
that contact information's on the website?
All of that should be on the Avixa website, yes, under committees. I believe maybe it's not under committees.
They probably have a
should
search
edit that out
tool.
because I do not know where it is.
It's on the Avixa website. It does search very well, so you'll find it. Women's Council, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's take a little turn here. FSR's involvement. They're sponsoring. They're part of this. Why would a company like FSR want to work with AQAV and promote what's going on here? What's the driving force?
Well, part of FSR's legacy, the foundation of the company has always been associated with quality products. It's one of the reasons why we keep all of our manufacturing in New Jersey. It's part of why all of our R&D and engineering is in New Jersey. They hold quality very, very, very close to the top of the priority list. And the only thing that exceeds quality on the priority list is probably employees and culture. So quality is a huge component of what FSR focuses on. And I think that when AQAV, founded by a veteran in AV who is simply sharing knowledge and trying to better the industry, FSR had no reason to not support something like this. AQAV is really an association for people who want to keep the professional side of AV in the forefront of their minds, right? So we're talking about not only quality processes, but also money-saving processes, also efficiencies, also standardization. So we're really talking about all the things that a lot of us in the AV industry, especially now influenced by IT, are heading towards if we haven't already gotten there yet. AQAV just gives us a real way of measuring that. And so FSR has said and will always say that quality is the level by which the AV industry should be measured, and AQAV is that measurement tool.
Very cool.
And what brings you into AQAV? I know you're a recent addition to the board.
I am a recent addition to the board. Actually, that was a really, I was honored. It was a flattering appointment, and I was really honored to be a part of it. One of the things that I wrote very many years ago while I was at my old company for Rave Publications when I was blogging for them was about how I see the AV industry as selling themselves short. Mm-hmm. Many of the people who were the foundation of this industry started from being things like musicians and roadies, broadcast people. And very often they don't know their value. And I saw in AQAV a way for people to really, in the AV industry, to really show their value, to really measure their value, because this is not easy stuff. These experiences that we create are not easy. So I really feel like once you get involved with AQAV and once you start measuring and standardizing, you start to see, wow, we are real professionals. And you start to charge customers as if you're real professionals. And then you start to say, okay, we have processes in place and we have programs in place. Mm-hmm. And this is something that grown-up companies do.
Damn, we know what we're doing.
We do.
I like that, grown-up companies. I like that phrase.
And I think that all it took was an organization to say, put our big boy pants on and present ourselves as if we are adults, because that's what we are. And so we needed that guidance, and AQAV has given us that guidance, and not only have they given us that guidance, but they've given us the metrics by which to measure that adultness, right? So that's kind of why I got involved. I know that's a really long answer.
Well, no, but I mean, it's something we were speaking about earlier. You know, everything from, I'm going to call it back to the booties, walking into a place with booties on, whether you think you need them or not, to, you were saying, a more code of ethics, a more responsible way. And what is that? That's adult.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a 1950s version of adult, but it is an adulthood. You know, adulting is hard, we know, but you got to do it.
We are a professional. We are now moving away from hardware, right? So we are a professional services industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you think professional services and you think architects and you think accountants, but AV is a professional services, especially if you want to move into managed services and you want to move into AV as a service. You need to present this as if you are a professional services organization. This is what you've done from the beginning. You have a good established way of doing business. AQAV gets you there. And
from top to bottom, your employees have some level of information that shows that development, but also a core understanding.
Right. So, and what's cool about AQAV is that they understand that from the multi-level, like you're saying, right? So they have the CQD, which is the design, the certified quality of design. They have the CQT, which is the technician, so that's the installation part of it. And then they have the CQL, which is a certified quality leader. So you have your management and your executives go through these courses and get certified in quality leadership. And you have pretty much every aspect of your organization covered from the top down.
So how much of this is technical versus non-technical?
Well, the CQL is not at all technical.
Okay.
The CQT and the CQD are technical. And they're rightfully so. I mean, the way that you measure quality in installation and design is very technical.
Sure.
And so you have to be CTS at a minimum to take a CQT or a CQD course. CTSI and CTSD preferred.
Well, let's start on that, because this is not, it's something maybe we haven't said, this is not a replacement of any other trade organization certification. It's an adjunct to or an advancement of.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, that somebody could not say this is replacing anything. This is more of a sort of very fine, narrow advancement.
So this is not competing with Apex,
right?
To be specific, right? I mean, and I think that's what a lot of people think. This is competing with Apex. There is no competition here. Apex is an industry association program by which you can say, as an organization, we hit these standards. AQAV is teaching you to put processes in place that will allow you to not only hit Apex standards, but to be, over time, become more efficient as a company and more proficient as a professional service provider. AQAV is also a third-party kind of ISO-based organization. So when you're talking about AQAV and being third-party, they are not an industry association. There's no conflict of interest with industry associations supporting their members. They are third-party saying these are the quality protocols that you have to take in order to obtain this level of quality in your service. So I don't think that there's any overlap there, besides the fact that both AVIXA and AQAV want to make sure that the end users are getting the best possible experience from their service providers that they can.
Yes.
AQAV measures that. Apex makes sure that they address it internally.
All right. Well, cool. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming over and talking to us.
Mario.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry I took up so much of your
time.
time.
Well, let's just we'll sign it off. This Gina Sanvicero. I never say your name right. Sanvicero. Yeah. English guy. Sanvicero. From FSR and the AVIXA Women's Council. You can find out more both on the FSR website and the AVIXA website for both those things.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Ciao. Uh-oh. You can take a picture.
We're taking pictures. I'm back.
It's not like the broadcast, live. I mean, if it was, this would be Scotch, and we'd be going Scotchy, Scotch, Scotch, Scotch. Scotch.
Let's see if my volume thing.
Oh, why is that there?
You're probably touching it on the
We have people walking in and everybody's saying hi, and the iPhone is all messed up.
Oh, here we go. More pictures.
What are you doing?
We are doing a live stream from this, so
Is that AVNation?
it
Yes.
is.
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
I need
awesome.
Crestron social media.
Ah, pleasure.
I could share.
Steve Greenblatt, George Tucker.
Yes, Steve is a social friend. We met at Masters.
Oh,
And I
nice.
didn't realize you had a podcast and a whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I awarded him a giveaway for being so active on Twitter.
Oh, he is a veteran on Twitter.
Oh, wait, did you win that under false pretenses?
No,
No, you were a ringer. No one knew.
I'm so green. I had no idea.
I'm Gina.
I'm Anitra. Nice
It's
to
very
meet you.
nice to meet
Nice
you.
So this is AVNation setup.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell me. So
Why don't you sit down with them?
Why?
Because they would love to talk to you about your social influences within the Crestron sphere. Please sit down.
Tell me.
We're rolling live. Let's
Okay,
go.
we're not going right now, right?
Yes,
We are, but
absolutely. It's all live.
it's edit.
All live?
Yeah. Across the World Wide Web, the globe itself.
I'll go get Mario
It's okay.
and then Marla too.
All right, we'll get Mario. We'll catch a shirt with Mario. But
Oh man.
well, welcome, please. Your name, full name.
Hi everyone, my name is Anitra Manka, Director of Digital Marketing at Crestron. I lead our social media channels.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm well acquainted with the Crestron social media. It's very cool. So let's actually then talk about that. What's the driving force for the social media for a company like Crestron? When social first started, when Twitter first exploded, it was more about that direct connection, right? There's the Clue Train Manifesto
Right.
and items like that, and those guys promoting that. And that's part of it, but it's really more under the hood, right? What are we really trying to do when we're doing social for a company?
Right. Well, since I started back in October, it became very clear to me very quickly how much I wanted to weave our global presence into our social channels. So you'll start to notice how important it is to us that we include our other major markets in our messaging. I work very closely with AQAV, EMEA, and LATAM to make sure that our global focus is represented across those regions. Also, in addition to that, it's educating our market through social is really the crux of what we're doing for the dealer, integrator, programmer audience. And really, that's the majority of who we're talking to in social arts, the dealer, integrator, and programmer. Yeah.
Do you have a question? I thought you
No,
were
that's
leading in.
interesting because I would think that some of that would be toward the end client.
And that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is definitely how we're evolving and growing, is making sure that our messaging is also inclusive of the end user, and educating them on solutions that with Crestron technology, the solutions themselves.
Well, I was going to say, because back in the day, the early 2000s or so, it was really pushing towards the integrators who were selling it to the client. But the name recognition and the industry recognition is so great now that we're having
Right.
CEOs say, I want a system like a Crestron,
Yeah.
or any of those. I mean, it's the whole becoming Xerox, right?
Right.
But you are also talking to them now. You know that in the back of your head that they are watching and looking for you. And then that's a very interesting place to be, because you're not just talking specifications and
Right.
how many throughputs. It's
Right.
what it can do for you.
We're trying to steer away from the text and specs, speeds and feeds within our message, but we do appreciate that our following really still is dealer, integrator, programmer. So we need to tip our hat to that audience, but also try and really push to reach the end user and talk to what we're solving through the technology.
There's a pro golfer who's really into Crestron. I forget his name. He's really big on social media. I forget. I bumped into him years ago on the Twitter feed, and he knew all the specs. Like, he was like, I want that. My winnings are going to that.
Yeah.
And that was his main goal. And I think you guys have done a feature on him, but it was very interesting to hear that he was in that vein.
Right. Well, that's a testament to our sales team really helping educate our end user on the value that Crestron brings in a fully integrated system.
Yeah, very cool. Well, we'll do more about that. We'll see, but we should actually get you on our show, AV Social, which covers the whole AV industry, reaching out and the tips. It's more than tips and techniques; it's the culture and how to do that. So we'll talk soon. We'll get you on with Tim Albright and those guys.
Sure, I'd be happy to participate.
Yeah, well, congratulations since October.
Thank you, thank you. I'm really loving my role. It's really growing and evolving, and I see the change happening before my eyes. We're really engaging more, and I feel like that vibe is present, especially on Twitter.
How much of social media, or how much activity do you see about answering questions or even providing technical support? I know that's an easy target when you either when you have a problem or concern, want to provide feedback. Social is obviously an easy way to get there.
Yeah, we do have a couple forums in the marketplace that are very vibrant and active on Reddit and on Facebook. So those are very, because they have longevity, those are really the go-to spots for technical resources. And it's really AV people talking amongst their peers. So it's nice to be a fly on the wall and see that community talk amongst themselves. I don't really get too much questions to the Crestron social.
Really, I'm surprised.
Asking for support. Every now and then we do, and we try and be as responsive as possible. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting one. Well, cool. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I know you've got some stuff to do, but thanks for being with us, and we'll hopefully talk very again soon.
Sure. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Good to see you.
And I've got a trick chair. This is going to be the fun. I think we're going to make this a game on social. Okay. Count the times George's chair went down, win a prize. But it is a factor. Like when AV Social started, promote our own show here. But when AV Social started, it was about understanding that new communication, and it really was a new forum for getting direct connect. Please, sir, sit down. Sit down. I can't say no to you anyway.
I'm the doorman.
It's your show. Good to see you.
Same here.
All right, good crowd. I heard some karaoke going.
Oh yeah, fortunately it wasn't me.
Yeah, that's what they all say. See, we had original plans to put a camera in there. We thought,
I heard that's one of the raffles.
Yeah,
to get a recording.
Yep. Go back like a couple years later and sell the film to the people who made a spectacle of themselves in front of the camera.
All in good fun. Well, let's formally know Mario Maltese, AQAV. You are the head of this, the developer of it. Executive director. Now, you also have another role.
Yes.
Which is?
Also the CEO of Audiovisual Resources.
Right, which is an entirely separate entity from AQAV, right?
That's the one that pays me.
Yeah.
AQAV only has one paid employee. That's the very nice woman over there, Irene Sasso, with 37 arms. And she does like Herculean. I mean, putting an event like this together. So much detail. I see her and Gina putting this thing together, and I have to go take a nap.
It's high praise indeed. High praise indeed.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here.
Well, no, we're happy to do it because
extending out to the cyberspace, which is cool.
Well, we were talking about that, like that there is that sort of, it's a need and it's not a need, because we are really technical people, but there's more to it, right? There's more to that technical need.
There is.
Yeah,
there's
good.
A lot of people that's the kill company, obviously. We have a lot of people on the West Coast, a lot of people in Texas. So they're not going to head out to Crestron for the evening. But this makes it accessible to them.
Well, talk a little bit about AQAV. I mean, what the genesis of it for you, right? We talked to Gina earlier about how it's not a replacement for the other trade organizations. It's an adjunct.
We're not a trade organization.
Right. Okay. Right.
So it's a nonprofit dedicated to improving the quality in audiovisual technology. It's not a trade organization. We don't do what IFACOM does. We're actually a paid member of IFACOM because our people have to stay up with the skills and production. But basically, the standard came out really for the benefit of the buyer. The buyer, well, let's put it this way. In a world where it's so rare to find an audiovisual system being installed with no defects, no punches. And that's like, every time I go and ask people, how many actually receive or give a system with no defects, they usually get laughed at. But that's a problem.
Right.
And that places our industry at risk. Because if you're not servicing the customer, he's going to come up with other ways to get his mission. So you look at the buyers jumping and going directly to the manufacturer. Manufacturers do not like the full quality of the system that's going in because it makes their product look bad. And many times it has nothing to do with the defect in the product. It has to do with how you applied or installed. So they look bad. So I could see where there's inflation because we're not delivering with zero defects. The winner, I was speaking with Vice President, former Vice President of the AQAV, a good friend of mine, sales, and he says he's amazed over the last few years the contracts got so much more legal because AV is now expected to be a construction.
Right.
So they're coming up with language for the from the standard Bluebird contract. This is meant for teeth to go work for technology companies. And in a way, you can't blame it. So again, the solution of this certainly is not come up with more lawyers on your side. That doesn't help at all.
That helps the lawyers. That's about it.
The root cause is really you have to put quality management in place. You have to do things. Maybe it's complicated. You have to have the discipline to checking your stuff at all the different stages. And that's what AQAV did. Came up with a standard for doing that. And it's based on the ISO 9000 level.
Right.
We just copy what the other industries did. Aerospace, telecommunications, and automobiles. What they did, they're copying our industry. So in those other industries, they also have a separate organization, or the trade organization, and the nonprofit involved with the quality standard. So that's what we're about. Now, it's a simple solution. Kind of goes back to what your father used to tell you when you were helping him. You know, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah,
it's a simple solution, but it's not easy.
Right. No, it's not easy at all.
And that's what the part is. It's having the discipline. Because the solution is there. You're going to have to have the standard to catch every defect. But what do you do? And, so you have to put these systems in place to catch defects before the customer can. So what we're trying to do here tonight is, given the environment that I just discussed, we're trying to train as many people as we can and release an army of AV auditors.
Right.
So these people are trained on two levels, on the technician level and on the design level, to inspect the systems before they are turned over, to not only identify, catch the defect, but to do an audit report. And it's in the review of the findings of the audit with the people who put the defects in that they learn, oh, that's a defect, don't do that. And they learn to continuously improve themselves. So they get better. The defects are the biggest cost function. It's like 30% of sales. So their costs drop, their profits go up. And what's starting to happen now for the companies that adopted this for a few years to get more market share, they're starting to drop their prices to the buyer. It's a win-win-win. So that's what AQAV is all about. We came up with a standard and we provide the training for that standard for auditors. It helps the buyer, certainly. It's really focused on them. It helps the AV company because they don't want to put the defects in. They want to feel good about what they're doing and they want to feel proud. It helps the manufacturer because they know that the product is going in with their name, not getting smeared. And it helps the people in the AV because emotionally, they feel good about what they do. You go through the checklist. It's easier than thinking, because now just follow your checklist. And it's very similar to what the pilot and the co-pilot on every airplane will do before they take off. They go through their pre-flight checklist, even though the ground crew already did it. Doesn't tell them how to fly the airplane.
Right.
It's, did I leave the cargo bay open?
Yeah.
And that's what these things do. So the companies that adopt the AV9000 as a standard will get the benefit. And that's what we have.
Now, how does one get involved in this? Right. So we're raising money for scholarships for training for people to take these classes from some firms that maybe not be able to afford the whole process. But how do you get involved? How do you get someone trained? What process do we go through?
Well, the website portal, AQAV.org, has the ways that you can get involved. If you're an AV provider, you can get membership. You get a membership package. You get a copy of the standard. You get a lot of other tools that you could use to start sharing. Now, the materials are copyright, but it's copyright to protect the ability to disseminate that information within the member organization, because it's for everybody in the company to get it. If you're a buyer, you go through the same portal, but your membership in AQAV has no cost. You get the same materials, but you get you don't have to pay for it, because it's, again, specifically for the benefit of the buyer, same as the other industries do. Once you get into it, you can see where the programs are, where the training is. And we have one training program for the technicians, so they're trained on staging and commissioning the commissioning thing. The designers catch the defects while it's still on paper. And there's a checklist for every stage in the development of the system. So it's kind of really a monitoring and measuring metrics for quality management.
So, and if you have a question, please ask.
One of the things I was thinking about it, how can an individual who's interested benefit, and is it something that they can make a difference by investing in AQAV, even though they may not have enough authority to get their company to invest in AQAV?
Well, my partner Lori is very big on this, is saying that what she did in the company, she picked it up and she started doing the procedures. And then she got her department to do it. And then that opened eyes, because now the rest of the company sees, oh, look at this. They're getting off the job site faster. There's less pork, as though the warranty hours drop like crazy. So you start to see the effects of efficiency pop in. And when the whole company does it, of course, you have a dramatic impact on the bottom line. And that's the best. But individuals have done that. Now, if they get blowback, and you do find that, you get some individuals say, this is great stuff, and they start to apply it. They either go up the rank real fast, or they have to leave.
Yeah.
Because if the guy who signs the checks doesn't buy into quality management, then they can't be happy there, and they will.
Let me ask that question. Why do you think we got here where every individual gets into this business, gets into it because we're really excited about that idea, that distributed sound, that video conferencing, that quality.
Yeah.
We're really into the specs. We really know the gear, right? They're really into it. If you're a coder, you're really into how efficiently that code is going to work, what kind of ways to do it, right? There's pride in that. But yet we find ourselves in this cycle of it not always being there. What do you think that root cause is? I mean, is it just too much work, or
it is. If I were to say what the root cause is, it's the overwhelming complexity of the technology.
Okay.
The equipment starts talking to each other. I mean, when EDID came out, that threw our industry on its. Now the manufacturers picked up on it. Right. They changed their product so that it gives the designer more flexibility. But holy smokes, as a culture, we didn't get it.
Yeah.
And so, rather than provide the training, organize the training, which required a massive training for the whole industry, they sent the people out and learned by trial and error. People are still going to counseling for this. This is so it's overwhelmingly complicated.
Yeah.
Now we show one slide in the in our classes. These are all the skills that you have to have now in AV.
Mm-hmm.
It blows you away. Now it goes beyond the career span of an individual.
It's true. It's true.
You look at, and that is not including the manufacturing training.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be trained not only on a manufacturer, but which product in that manufacturing. So, wow, this thing got really complicated very fast. That requires the agility in each of the companies to manage the training, establish what skills they have to have,
Mm-hmm.
and track how they're acquiring it. And because it keeps changing, they have to have a system in place to track it and oversee it. The other thing that happened is because there are so many, where it went the same way as the other industries. Again, I said it goes beyond a career span. I have, as of this year, 48 years in the industry.
Wow.
I have advanced degrees. I have patents. I have more letters after my name than in my name. And I'm still learning this stuff.
Yeah.
You can't get everything. So you have to specialize.
Yeah.
So you might have a team with audio and electroacoustic specialists, a display systems specialist, a programming / networking / GUI specialist. Now more than ever, especially with digital science, you got to have construction trades.
Yeah.
And then for those domains, you have to have tiers of that, because going out and testing for intelligibility using STIPA tests is good, but now design for it. How do you design that you're going to get a STIPA grade in 0.62? So there are tiers involved. So it is so complicated
Right.
that you have to do things differently. You can't do things the same way. You know, you got to constantly learn, unlearn, relearn. The old model of like I got a CTSD, CTSI, whoopee. That's good. Don't knock it.
Right,
That's
right.
valuable. But man, now you're able to start learning. Really, it's like a commencement exercise. You graduate college, right? What do they call that ceremony? Commencement. Now you start your education.
Yeah.
You're given the tools. You're given how to learn. You got instruments to go measure. Start learning. Because whatever you're learning on now, it won't be the way you do it next time.
It's true.
What AV 9000 did is we focus on a battery of tests that's focused on the user experience. So the user sitting in a room should not hear unintended noise in the room. I shouldn't be listening in the quiet room and hearing hum and buzz.
Right.
I should also not hear distortion when somebody raises their voice into the mic. Now, that's boils down to gain structure for that dynamic range. Well, how you set gain structure is going to change. Now we have analog microphones like this. They go to a mixer like what I see over here. I have a mixer with 3 cascading amplifiers of trim pot and channel gain and post-channel gain. Then I don't have a power amp, but I usually find power amplifiers and all that stuff. Now the cell phone mics are not analog. They come out with a digital stream. They're totally digital. So you could see where the microphone will go straight through the loudspeaker, but it's still going to be analog on the mic and analog on the loudspeaker. And if the guy wants to sell to a lot of different places, he has to accommodate how far the mouth is going to be. So they have to set the sensitivity of the audio somehow. And they don't know how far the loudspeaker is going to be to the ears. So they have to be able to adjust that level. So how you adjust that's going to change. But we're focusing on, is the guy sitting in the room going to be hearing hum and buzz? And is he going to be hearing some kind of distortion?
Right.
It might be clipping while it's analog. Digital, I don't know how it sometimes it cuts out. You know,
Brick wall, yeah.
Yeah, I ran out of ones. So it's going to somehow just do whatever that designer has the product do.
Mm.
So the test is still going to be valid. How you set the gain structure will change. It's changing now. It's changing now.
Well, cool. I know you have some guests to talk to and some people to do, but I want to thank you very much. Where can they find out more about this? I know we'll repeat it, but from your words, where can they find out more?
Yep. Well, we got. Well, I think is Marla going to come over?
Yeah, in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a little story about Marla.
Uh-oh.
We do it. Okay.
We are live, you know.
We are. You can go blame her for all of this stuff.
Okay.
Because back in 2010, I think she asked me to do a presentation on AV quality. I've been evangelizing this thing at Infocom for, I'll say, before the turn of the century. That cool, man? Anyway, so I was giving a talk at her showcase, which is I think next week, is phenomenal. And everybody, I mean, you know, everyone in New York who does AV winds up at this place. So I'm giving a talk on quality, and in the audience was Paul Depperschmidt, who was recently appointed the channel distribution manager for Tanbury.
Okay.
And he, I don't know how many sets of underwear he changed before he came over, but he says all these IT guys are going to be playing with AV. So I need a standard. I need a standard that you can go. He needs what we call an auditable standard.
Right,
There's evidence. Look, I checked it out. So, sure. So Cisco was very generous and seeding AQAV a lot of money, and so we had some money to go get instrumentation so we can start our training practices. But it was at her show that connection made. So you can blame her for the start of the quality movement in AV. And with that, I'll get the hell out of here.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Send them all over?
Yeah, in a minute. I think she was wrangling everybody, but you can let her know that she wants to mosey over. That's fine.
Thanks
too.
again so
Sure.
much for your.
How do
we're glad
people
to be
learn
here.
more about AQAV?
Oh, AQAV.org. Our website will give you all the information you need. There's a phone number there, and I'm sure one way you get that nice one with the 37 arms to get back to.
And there'll be some training at Infocom?
We have a CQD training at Infocom like we have every year. We're going to be at the Hard Rock Cafe this year. And we're having a networking event at the Hard Rock also, right before the Drunk Uncles at the same hotel. So I disavow and pre-apologize for anything I do there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, as Mario said, Mario Maltese here from AQAV. He was mentioning that they're going to have more training and they're going to have stuff at Avixa, Infocom, Avixa's show, Infocom.com. And all the classes are going to be listed there as well. And a Hard Rock one. Well, isn't that where you learn and then you forget? Is that what's going to happen? I'm not sure how that works.
Well, you could say that it sinks in.
Yeah. Hopefully you wake up in the morning going, what did I learn? Don't have to gnaw an arm off or something,
Or maybe that's the motivation, that you learn so that you can have fun after.
Exactly. Well, isn't that what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, it's like the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster. It's all about banging the rocks together, people, isn't it? Banging the rocks together. Very insightful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear to me that Mario isn't trying to push this on anybody.
No.
He really has good intentions in terms of why was it created.
Yeah.
It is meant to be for the benefit of the industry, for the benefit of the client. And also, I don't think he emphasized enough how much this makes companies that do this work better.
Yeah. Yeah, as we said at the beginning, I mean, it's that all-inclusive thing of from top to bottom, who acts like what and how you do things. And that client's going to respect that. And they're going to respect the industry. And it's all of us together. I mean, it is a tough one. Although he did mention something about how it's more than one career span, all the technologies. And I think back to when I managed tech support. How many vertical and horizontal technologies do these tech support people need to know in order to get that one product to work? So it's a product from Crestron. And it's got to work. But they're laying on you 12, 13, 14, 15, 20 different technical disciplines it's interfacing with. It's not just, the touchscreen. It's...
Well, what AQAV, and again, haven't gone through the training, but
Right.
what I think you can rely on it for is to maybe fill in the gaps. There may
Right.
be stuff that you know because you've done and it's routine.
Yeah.
But here he's showing you, well, just follow this process, follow these steps, and you'll get the part that you don't do well taken care
Better,
of.
yeah. No, I just find it fascinating that it's on all ends. I mean, don't discount that those tech support people are supposed to know that product. They probably know the product. That whole ecosystem becomes the issue.
And that's why there's specialists in this industry too.
But in the early days of the tech support, it was just the product. And they knew enough about audio to go, yes, we're audio guys, we're stereo guys, we get this distribution.
Manufacturers also specialized in one area of the industry too.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true as well. I mean, it's rare that you have bigger companies that span that vertical, horizontal market span. It's a very difficult thing to accomplish and keep steady and consistent. And that's not just this company, Crestron, but others. There's an impressive amount of chutzpah, I guess is the right word to say, to do it and keep it right. But I think about that, like you said, more than one career and its career span.
Mm-hmm.
Big statement about our industry and about how things are going. How much you have to know.
Yeah, I know that every year or at least every couple of years they reevaluate the standard, and I'm sure that there's a lot of it that has to get updated.
Right, exactly. It's just astounding sometimes, but I don't mean that just from an insider's view, right? It's Jesus. What do we do with that? No, so as you can hear, lots of fun going on in the back. They're doing their I don't know. Are they doing shots or are they doing karaoke? I'm not quite sure what's going back there.
One leads to the other.
Exactly. Well, that's true. It's true. All right, guys, we're going to take a short break. This will be live, but we'll probably be muted. We're going to go find our next guest, make sure they can sit down with us for a little bit, and we'll be back. Thanks. All right, folks, for the of you watching live, just remember that is at AQAV.org. That's AQAV.org / fundraiser. You can bid on a number of items there to help raise funds for their Music is Life scholarship. And this goes towards folks being able to get the classes and go through the whole full course of certification. It's a wonderful thing. Again, comments, questions now or weeks after this event, tag us on any of the platforms that you see this video and we'll be happy to answer them and get you going. Thanks so much. See you in a minute. No, I turned it down. All right, everybody. Hey, we're back after a lengthy discussion. Joining us right now is my sometimes boss when I was at Crestron. What is it? In at least 2 cities, once a year, in Florida, Orlando,
Yes,
and in
Orlando
Las Vegas.
and Las Vegas.
She was my boss. In fact, she was everybody's boss. Right up the top, man. Roseanne Lang. She's one of the event. What is your official title? It's
Director of Customer Experience is my official title.
Okay.
And what I do is our trade shows. I'm responsible for our trade shows globally, as well as our experience centers throughout the globe. So a lot of activity in the industry right now. We're just packing up from Light Fair. We got InfoComm in 3 weeks. So it's an exciting time.
Light Fair to InfoComm. Now, okay. So take us. I'm sure some people think they know what it takes to put on a trade show booth. But I mean, you're here, which I'm shocked at. I mean, I would think you're still back there, but
you should see my office. There's floor plans everywhere, but yeah, it's exciting. It's got a great team that I work with. Our marketing team. We have an 8,800 square foot booth. So it's we build a house, what we call a house in a week, but it takes a year of planning, and we're going to have over 225 Crestron employees there from all over the globe. So I have Christine Shrinian that works with me. She's responsible for just the crew. So to talk about what it takes to get people there, it's just without the house we build, without the people to support it, we got nothing. So it's quite an ordeal. Everything from, believe it or not, I picked my space for InfoComm 2019 just today. So this is how much planning is involved. But it's really exciting. It's really just gives us an opportunity to bring demos and solutions in a format, in a venue that no salesperson could put in the trunk of their car. So that's why the experience centers are so valuable. It really takes that trade show, experiential, solution. It's part of it is just remembering it. When you experience it, you remember it, and you take it back to your offices and tell why your customers or your department why you need this. So we have a sales team there, we have technical team there, we do tons of training. So Crestron has its own InfoComm webpage. So Crestron.com/InfoComm has all of our training, tells you all about what InfoComm is doing, what Crestron's doing. And like I said, they expect to have probably 45,000 people at Las Vegas. And so we're hoping, everyone that's listening, and certainly people that are here, I know you guys are both active in the show, and exciting.
So that number, is that the actual throughput of the booth? I mean, how many, I don't know if that's a trade secret, but how many people actually pass through the Crestron booth on an average show?
It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, we have our scans, right? So those are the people that actually take the time. We get scan their badges. Usually we have about, 3,000 to 4,000 people that actually make that stop. But on average, there's quite a lot of people that, existing dealers for the most part, right? All of our salespeople from 9 to 5 on the hour, every hour, they're taking their customers around, and those people usually don't get scanned. So I would say on a 3-day show and 8 hours a day that we could easily have, 10,000. We could have a quarter of the people that come to the show in making their way through our booth.
That's a phenomenal number.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's
having worked one of the booths, I know it seems like they're all there on one day sometimes.
Yes, it's hard to find anybody, but it's an exciting problem to have. So being crowded, so we don't need magicians in our booth to bring traffic there. So.
This is true. It's true. So you said it's a year-long process. When do you actually start planning for the next show? Is it like the Tuesday after the last InfoComm? I mean,
well, it's a good question. I mean, in some respect, we do, because we do a kind of a post-mortem. After the show, we send out surveys both to our customers that attended our specialty events, whether it's a consultant event, or this year we're having an enterprise event that we're hosting, an A+ event for all of our education folks. So we like to think that we're doing a good job, but we're starting to send out surveys and asking our customers, how do you think we're doing? Like, is this the information you're looking to get at the show? We know your time is valuable, so we want to maximize their time there. So we do kind of start, like I said, as soon as we get back, we're talking about what we did or didn't do, right? And then kind of capture that so that, usually we do ISC now, right, too? So we're every 6 months we're doing like our U.S. InfoComm and our Europe InfoComm, if you will. So, but yeah, it's a year of planning. Obviously, starts 12 months out, but then usually within, like I said, I pick my booth space this year, and we pick our rooms and make sure we got hotels for everybody, in June for June of 19. And basically all the experiences we have with our shows all year round really just bring us to where we should be at InfoComm. And our experience centers play a big part of that in how they're doing and the demos and the reactions. We get a lot of feedback from our wonderful salespeople, and just figuring out that why we thought this is what they want to hear, that we come back and say, you know what, we need to tweak a couple things and make it a little bit more memorable, or at least more relatable for them to come back to their owners and offices and basically talk to their customers in a manner that they're going to understand.
Yeah. Now, every year, the big question is who's performing at the Crestron party?
Our swirl.
Well, no, okay. There's two questions. How do I guarantee I get a spot? And who's playing? Can you tease me on either one of those?
Well, I could tease you that swirl.
Besides lavish gifts to you, how do we get it?
No, Swirl 18 is obviously a customer appreciation event, and it is based on sales performance for the most part. So it is an exclusive event. We have about 2,500 people there. Yep. This year it is going to be at Brooklyn Bowl. So we've moved the venue. We've kind of outgrown the Palms Hotel. Wow. So the format, if for those that were fortunate to come, the last 2 years, instead of it being, a 90-minute reception and we swish you off to the theater, we've now made it more kind of like it is here today in our showroom. It's just an open cocktail hour, gives our salespeople and just our customers a chance to really just unwind after a long day at the show, and really have an opportunity to talk to each other. Once the band starts playing, there's little opportunity to do that. So we have a venue for networking, and then the band's going to be great again. I can't say too much about who's playing, but mark my words, it'll be a party to remember like it is every year.
And I have to say that, having been on the inside, it's a well-kept secret amongst maybe 4 people in the entire company. Nobody in direct contact ever hears about it. I worked in marketing at Crestron for a little while, and I could not get it out of anybody.
That's right. So it's kind of fun for us, but it's always, I started planning the party, Randy Klein, when we did Philadelphia. It was our first party, if you will. We did breakfast. Because we always thought, we're not party people, those were the other companies that did that. So we served coffee and Danish and, had a captive audience that way. And then eventually, about 15 years ago, we started with the parties. And, we've been doing Blue Man Group and Sammy Hagar, and we had Brian Setzer, and we had Penn and Teller, and we had Dennis Miller and Jim Gaffigan and Sinbad, and it's just we've had Earth, Wind, and Fire. It goes on and on. We've been very fortunate to be able to host such a wonderful event for our customers.
Yeah, I actually know some people who actually have the laminates.
Oh yeah,
they collect of how many they've gone through and which ones they have.
Yeah, I have a few with signatures on them, so it's pretty cool. I have a little stash of my own of that. So it's I know when we stopped giving away the lanyards, people were a little disappointed. We wanted to go, digital as the industry is going, and they still like the analog, lanyards with the laminated card. So this year we're doing it a little bit differently. They'll get a ticket, and then you'll get a wristband to get in the door. So Thursday evening at I guess that's June 8th. Yeah, June 8th. That'll be our party. But speak to your Crestron salesperson about getting your ticket.
Yeah, leave the poor people behind the Crestron counter alone. They have no sway. They can't give you tickets.
Yeah, we actually moved it off property this year. We're actually having it not in the booth. So we're actually going to have it near our meeting room. So we can focus on our customers and our solutions in the space, and the entertainment will be in the convention center, but just near our meeting space.
That's very funny. I have to. So I know that when you put the booths together, it's also a third-party trade show company, right? You have to coordinate all those guys. I mean, what cell phone plan do you have? Because you must be on the phone more than, I don't know, Wall Street broker trying to short sell the entire.
It's funny because I don't feel like, I mean, it's just, that's my normal.
Yeah.
So I don't, you know, it's just a lot to coordinate. We have, like I said, a really good team internally and our vendors externally. And it's really very much like, you know, Marla will tell you later, like planning a wedding. There's just all these moving parts and pieces.
Yeah.
And it's, but it's exciting. It's like building a house. I've done 2 on my own personal, and it's exciting. It's, you build it up. The shame of it all is that we got to tear it down in 3 days. It takes us a full week to get it ready, but it's like I said, it's to have such a tremendous sense of pride and accomplishment when it's all coming together, and you know, salespeople are happy being where they are, and you know, selling Crestron solutions, and that's what it's all about. That's why we're there, and to network and to participate in this terrific industry.
I've taken up a lot of the questioning. I apologize. Do you have anything additional?
Well, no, I thought that was a great, and I'll segue a little bit about, you know, the event that we're at today at AQAV. How is Crestron connected? You know, and obviously a supporter of AQAV.
Well, absolutely. We were Gina had approached me at a Women in AV event, and you know, said about this first fundraiser. We said, you know, hey, how about having it in New York? And we're always welcome to you know, offer our venues, whether it's our headquarters or our showroom, to host events like this. I mean, anything where there's, as you know, with Infocom and industry standards, it's important not just to us that the ultimately the dealer and the end user are more educated and making them more efficient. And so we were just happy to be supporters of the event. And like I said, there's you know, a lot of fundraising that they're doing here today with the sponsors that have brought some great gifts, and we're just you know, like I said, we don't act alone in this industry, and I think it's important that other manufacturers, based on some of the like I said, the gifts that were donated, I think a lot of people feel that way. It's just taking the time, like you said, to just make people know that it is important and to support the industry. We're all in this together, right?
Yeah, so exactly. Despite the marketing blurbs, we are really all into this together. It's true. It's true. Well, Roseanne, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Been way too long since we've last
Yes,
talked.
it was a pleasure. Yes, a pleasure working with you again, right? And my pleasure. And thanks for being here today.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. You have a good one.
You too.
All right. And with that, I think I'm listening and hearing them gear up for some other parts of this party. And while the thing said to 7, I think we've gone through our number of interviewers or interviewees. And we should probably sign it off at this juncture. They're not making some major announcements. I'm going to try go in there and get some video of that so that we can edit that in. But it's been that kind of party where they're really having a lot of fun and things just move along. Maybe next year we'll have the guy with the helmet cam. We can just rove around. That'll be funny. Okay, so any last words? Any last thoughts?
I think it's always great when people in the industry come out and support a good cause and also show their investment in the community. And it's not only about how your company is going to benefit, but how the industry can benefit. And I think this is a good sign of that.
All right, thank you. Well, for Steve Greenblatt, the host of State of Control, and for AVNation TV and AQAV and all of the fine sponsors who have worked to make this event happen, we want to thank them for doing that. And we want to ask you again, you can sponsor too. You can go to AQAV.org/fundraisers, and you can bid on some of the baskets as well as the online only basket. That's for you guys watching. That'll be, I think that'll be available at least for a month past the original recording date of this. And to check that out, again, AQAV.org/fundraisers or just AQAV.org. I wouldn't be a broadcaster, you would think, right? And for more information on their fundraiser and what they do with their AV9000 stuff. For AVNation TV, please check them out. We have a whole raft of shows on the verticals of this industry, and we want your participation too. So go to AVNation.tv, see this and many more shows. Until then, we look forward to speaking with you soon.